or anyone very difficult. So it's probably unfeasible. And I just think the bulk of this rumour comes from obviously a lot of probably all European top clubs are monitoring his development. You know, obviously we need a winger. Clearly we failed in the pursuit of Mudryk. So it's easy to link us with wingers. And that's why you're going to see full circle with being linked with someone left like him, a dream signing, circled back where the papers are to be believed, where Rafinha's concerned. Give it a couple of days. Zaha, Pedro Neto are going to follow Tossart in being linked, and anyone else we've historically been linked with, man, in those things, man. We packed the whole of London. It's normal. So in truth, who really knows what we're going to do, really and truly? But with that, we might as well just crack on quickly and get on with the transfer news, people. As I said, I've done a condensed version of this very news as well. It should be out already for you lot. But if not, let's call it transfer news. Let's make a timestamp, as I keep forgetting. Where do we start? Tab police, you might want to look away, if I'm completely honest with you. Actually, where I first want to start is, again, I don't really care for Mudryk anymore and all of these things, but The Athletic just came out with an article about him, said makes sense to cover such people. Sorry, give me a second. I'm just drinking Conte, Richarlison, Tottenham Hotspur fans' tears. Oh, it's a bit bitter, isn't it? It's good. It's good. In fact, I shouldn't even say 3 points. It was 2-0, but he gave us 6 points. Same way we did at the Emirates. We did it at your place, mate. It's nothing. I've seen my team win a league trophy there. You know, treating Tottenham Hotspur Stadium just like London Coley. That's our pitch. And you should thank us, Spurs, man. North London's not relevant if Arsenal don't rock up from South. You know, really and truly power shift and all those things. But who am I to tell them anything? Mudryk deal a blow, but Arsenal return to the transfer market in a position of strength. It's just what normally comes with Arsenal being linked with players. We're heavily linked with a player. The Athletic and all these journalists come out with, we're going to get the guy and we're doing this and doing that. And then these articles kind of come out, you know, kind of playing down how much we pursued the individual or kind of painting things a rosy. At the end of the day, we're just going to have to move on. But for what it's worth, Arsenal were engaged in 2 London derbies this weekend, one on the pitch and one on the transfer market. They lost out in the first with Chelsea winning the battle for Mudryk's signature as Arsenal prepared to face Tottenham. The 100 million winger they had so prized was paraded at Stamford Bridge. I just want to scroll the way down, man. Failing to bring in Mudryk was undoubtedly a blow. He was Arsenal's top target, and they feel they did everything within their power to agree a deal. In the end, Chelsea swooped in with superior terms and stole the player from under Arsenal's noses. Now Arsenal will need to go back to the drawing board. At least they do so from a position of relative comfort. Defeating the derby would have compounded the disappointment in the market. Instead, the club has managed to emerge from the weekend on a high. I'm just trying to scroll the way down. Shout out to Mikel Arteta. And again, check out the videos I've done earlier. We've looked at all of these things from a substantial point of view. Arteta will also be delighted to see Smith Rowe come off the bench to make his first Premier League appearance since September. Bloody hell. Pardon me. It's been a hot minute, Smith Rowe. Even so, he'll recognise that Arsenal still need reinforcements if they are to maintain their lofty position. The work rate of the front three of Nketiah, Martinelli and Saka was sensational, but is it sustainable? That's why missing out on Mudryk has left Arsenal so disappointed. He was seen as an ideal January signing, someone capable of an immediate impact, as well as a coherent part of the long-term strategy. That's why they pushed the ball out to try and sign him. The perception is that Arsenal don't overpay for players. That's not entirely true. When someone is a perfect fit for their plans, they are prepared to go the extra mile. See Ben White or even Ramsdale himself. Arteta demands specificity in the transfer targets. When they find someone who fits, they push. Mudryk was one such player, a case where Arsenal were prepared to bend the budget, but ultimately Arsenal came up short. There was a stark contrast to be drawn between Arsenal and Chelsea's negotiating style. While Arsenal spent weeks in talks with Shakhtar, Chelsea thrashed out a deal in a matter of hours. Arsenal see their approach as diligent and methodical. Clubs and agents sometimes argue it makes for a frustrating process. At one stage, Arsenal had hoped to sign both Mudryk and João Felix in this window. To lose both to a London rival, albeit 19 points behind, is a bitter blow. But it needn't be the fatal one for the title challenge. Had this happened on the day of deadline, it would be far more damaging. Arsenal still have half the window to try and find an alternative target. Before they signed Derby hero Ramsdale, they had initially targeted David Raya, only to be told he was not for sale. Before White, they wanted France international Jules Koundé. Jesus might not have been signed had Arsenal landed Vlahovic. 6 months before, Zinchenko was arguably Arsenal's best player in the Imperials first 45 minutes, but the club had initially wanted Lisandro Martinez as their new left back. He played 12 times there. He's more comfortable at centre-half. I don't know how that would have worked out, especially in relation to our build-up play. I'm having Lisandro Martinez, but Zinchenko's like a breath of fresh air. Anyways, Mudryk himself only became the prime target when Rafinha chose to join Barcelona from Leeds United, which apparently we were third behind Chelsea and Barcelona. Many in Ukraine believe Chelsea have overpaid substantially for Mudryk, considering his inexperience at the highest level. I don't know anything. You think Chelsea don't know that they've done that as well? The deal has been described using an old Ukrainian saying as like buying a cat in a bag. Essentially, in the acquisition, the true value of which will not be clear for some time. So we'll have to see. The January market is infamously difficult, but if they can repeat the trick and strengthen the squad on the back of their strong start, Arsenal will be in an outstanding position. So we'll have to see how that one develops, but it's a bit irrelevant. I mean, that's just in relation to the PFA statement in relation to what happened to Ramsdale with the fan. Violence towards players is completely unacceptable. These types of incidences are happening far too often. Players have a right to be safe in their place of work. When a player is attacked, we expect the laws and regulations that are in place to protect players to be properly enforced. As the Players' Union, we treat this as a priority issue. We continue working with authorities to demand that players and staff are protected in their place of work. People, what are you lot saying in the comments before we keep going on, people? He'd be a very good signing. The dream is free. The house was sold separately. Smash the likes and bust the bell for notifications. This content is tier 1 appreciative. They're getting the PR ready when we don't sign players. Tossar and Zaha are unlikely too because they don't fit the age profile. Arteta and Eddie have made it clear they don't want to sign players aged 26 and older. I don't know for the 26 thing, but we've made it clear that we want experienced players. I don't know if that's exactly true because Rafinha would have fell 26. I know they didn't sign it. Well, Partey was signed when it was a different regime under Edu, but Partey, El Nene, Granit Xhaka are exceptions to the rule, and they're quite good for us. So I'm not too sure if that's good. Of course, you want more legs in the tank for these young assets, but who knows? Nothing shrewd about the deal. They just threw money at it. KK and Osman would destroy our wage structure. Those two are never going to happen. I agree. But you're going to have to at some point rip your wage structure to sign players. Tossar is the most sensible signing. I mean, he's Premier League proven, his experience, he's adaptable. He'd come in to be a good little squad player and things. But do we really want him for all the admiration? If we don't really want him like that, there's no point bringing him in because then you might, obviously we need options, but then you're kind of blocking pathways for when you do sign players that could be worth such people. I'm not too sure. So let's click that. Big up Santi, but that's irrelevant. Allegedly, Arsenal are keeping tabs on Napoli winger Kvaratskhelia. Oh, KK. I need to hear someone say that name with respect to the Georgian lad. I mean, he's wavy. He's going to cost more than Mudryk. I don't think it's going to happen for several reasons. Napoli just bought him. He's an appreciating asset. Napoli are difficult to do business with. You probably need to bid 100 million to get a conversation. And because Mudryk played 44 times for Shakhtar, and Arsenal were willing to commit substantially, what are Napoli going to ask for? Even though he's kind of been on the scene near enough the same time, he's done a lot more. Great against Liverpool, great against the Champions League sides, savage Juventus. I would love it, but you need to pay through the nose. Do I see Arsenal doing that mid-season? No. So it doesn't make sense. And he's just signed for Napoli. They've just got in money talks, but the dream is free. The Arsenal was sold separately. I don't think it's happening, but Arsenal keeping tabs on the Napoli winger for what it's worth. Again, it's easy to link us with wingers, and obviously where Arsenal fans are concerned with them wanting hope with the Mudryk deal not happening, it's easy to link us with a standout wide man. 21-year-old has been superb for what it's worth this season. He has 21 in goal involvements in just 20 games, and he's a fantastic. Yeah, I can't talk him up high enough. What I would say, these kind of players, you need to be like Napoli in this day and age and sign him when he's at Rubin Kazan. He was offered around Europe for 10 million quid. Apparently, he could prove expensive for Arsenal. Newcastle were told that he would cost around 100 million if they wanted him. Clearly, the price tag has gone up. He'd be an outstanding signing for what it's worth. 90 minutes said Arsenal contact Barcelona over Rafinha and Ferran Torres. Smash the like button, people. Arsenal made contact with Barcelona to explore deals for Rafinha and Ferran Torres. 90-minute understands. The Gunners have been keen to sign a winger since the summer when they initially failed with a bid to persuade Rafinha to stay in England. The Brazilian left Leeds United for Barcelona, also rejecting Chelsea in the process. Sights had been set on Mudryk, but the Ukraine international is now on his way to Chelsea. Signed for them. Obviously, they've agreed to pay 100 million euros, with Arsenal refusing to increase their final bid, which ultimately fell just short. Pardon me. With the pursuit of Mudryk slowing down over the past week, sources have confirmed to 90 Minute that Arsenal's director Edu reached out to Barcelona as part of his process for possible alternatives. I mean, he has a good relationship with Deco. It's not worked out for Rafinha at Bar, so he's probably had a conversation and probably been told Rafinha has no intention of leaving. And you've heard Barcelona won 100 million. That's maybe where Arsenal have shown their hand, like with the Vlahovic deal, like with the Mudryk deal. We act broke, and then some every now and again. Ultimately, we failed to get these players in, but we're prepared to commit big money. So other clubs are going to be looking around and saying, we want a bit of that. Both Rafinha and Torres were discussed, with Arsenal understood to have held explanatory talks over a number of possible alternatives to Mudryk. Now, with the top target heading elsewhere, Arsenal are prepared to step up their interest in other targets to finally address their limited depth in wide areas. Obviously, Rafinha joined in a 55 million deal that Barcelona, that is, last summer, and he's had a mixed debut year with Barcelona, starting just 7 times in La Liga and registering 3 goals in his first 22 appearances. People, he's been largely forced to operate as a substitute, which he probably would at Arsenal in current form. As has Torres, who has 6 starts to his name and just 2 goals. Barca are known to be keen to trim their wage budget to allow them to make further signings. Obviously, Asu Fati and Memphis Depay allegedly are available, as is Eric Garcia. We've all been linked with all of them. Arsenal have inquired as to whether either Rafinha or Torres could be available before the end of the January window. For what it's worth, the playing style, I'd rather Rafinha. If all things were considered, I'd actually probably more advocate Arsenal to get Ferran Torres over Rafinha. 90 Minute understands Arsenal have also explored a possible move for Brighton's Leandro Trossard, who has demanded an exit from the club this month and is seen as a more attainable target than Mitoma, who is also of interest to the Gunners. So allegedly we're of interest of the Brighton lad. And obviously, just like, you know, a Brighton teammate in Trossard, he's kind of been while his manager has said the door's open if you behave, he's been alienated, and he does have an option of another year in his contract. If you're a negative person around the training ground, which allegedly, according to reports, Brighton might just want to get you out. Arsenal are also among the sides to be monitoring Napoli sensation Kvaratskhelia, who has been made unavailable for transfer and is likely to cost in excess of 100 million if he ever does leave Naples. So it's really put up or shut up there, man. I mean, 90 Minute understands sources, all of these sort of things. It's all worse. He'd be a dream, but the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. These Indonos are clutching. This is why I always say the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. It is what it is. You know, we're allowed to talk about it. We're allowed to dream, but actually putting the money down is another thing. Really and truly. It's a pipe dream. Torres left to go back to Spain, homesick too. Exactly. That's the risk you take. That Spurs fan had more shots on. Oh, chill. I don't see Rafinha coming to Arsenal due to him just getting his dream move to Barca, and they'll ask for 100 million euros. I don't trust 90 Minutes at all. I don't trust anything until they're holding the scarf next to Mikel Arteta, Edu, Vinay, and whoever at London Coley. Rather Fatty, if he can get over his injury problems, what a player, man. It is what it is. It's never going to happen. Are we accountants? Big clubs usually pay high on wages. It's only an issue when the players are media. I hear that. Bro, Napoli are laughing. 9 million quid. You've just signed. You've got an appreciating asset. Not just him. You've got Osimhen and a couple other players could leave Napoli. Maybe not for them lots prices, but decent prices. Again, once again, Newcastle were told 100 million. And when did this come out? December. And his price is just going to rocket. For me, you need to put 100 million down to even get a conversation. If I'm Napoli, I'm trying to put that over it, really and truly. Apparently, Newcastle are indeed interested, but their position is similar to that of several clubs across Europe, including Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Man United from England alone. Every top side has done due diligence on the forward since he's moved to Napoli. And his agent did offer him, before he moved to Napoli, he was offered around Europe for 10 million quid. I bet everyone wishes they took his agent seriously then. For what it's worth, moving on from that, Arsenal have been offered the chance to sign Leandro Trossard as they consider alternatives to Mudryk. People, Arsenal still want to sign a wide forward this month to strengthen their title push, and they've inquired about Barcelona's Rafinha, but it is thought the winger wants to stay at the Camp Nou. Agents and clubs are aware Arsenal remain active in the transfer market, and the Premier League leaders are expected to be offered several players over the next fortnight. Trossard is attracting interest from Tottenham and wants to leave Brighton, and he feels he has been humiliated by their manager, Roberto De Zerbi, according to his agent. The 28-year-old was left out of Brighton's squad for their 3-0 win over Liverpool. So he's moved, that brave call from the gaffer, and it's been backed up. He's in the last 6 months of his deal. He does have the option of another year, but again, because of him not behaving himself around the training ground, would you would probably extend his contract to give yourself a stronger negotiating hand. But as Arsenal fans, I don't know his situation, but when you've had Aubameyang, Ozil, Guendouzi, it's best to just nip them in the bud sooner rather than later. Chelsea have been linked, obviously. Well, you never know with Chelsea, but you'd imagine they're going to leave Trossard alone. If they're going back to Brighton, they're going back in for what my man Moses Caicedo. For what it's worth, Rafinha targets Barcelona stay after Arsenal register interest. He has ruled out a move to Arsenal in the January transfer window, according to reports in Spain. Once again, Arsenal have explored this in January. We tried to bring him in the summer. It didn't happen. It's also claimed he'll cost 88.6 million, 100 million euros. And I understand it. You know, it might not be happening for him at Barcelona, but 6 months, you're opening first 6 months where he's relearning football don't define you. He's more of a household name than someone like Mudryk. So again, this is probably not everyone's going to ask for 100 million, but this is the territory Arsenal have now stepped into when we kind of showed our hand. And obviously, we've been linked with several players, like off the top of my head, Zaha. For me, anyways, from last summer, we wanted a winger. So that means from the whole season and beyond, Arteta and Edu and Co have to have been looking at wide options. And obviously, in the months that have, that followed through to now, we've primarily been linked with Mudryk, but there's been a bunch of other names. So it does, if they're household names, star players, who doesn't want that? But if they're lesser known entities, not quite known, we just need to get something done really and truly. And we've been linked with a whole bunch of players. Some players' situations probably are the bulk of why they're being linked with us. Zaha's contract running down, Trossard the same, as well as not behaving himself. Obviously, Ferran Torres, Rafinha, Ansu Fati, whether they're credible or not, Barcelona are in some financial trouble. We've been linked with Moussa Diaby of Leverkusen, who it seems like he will move on. We tried to get Pedro Neto last summer from Wolves, but we didn't want to pay the 50 million or so asking price. For Gondo Torres a few months ago, Edu was said to have sat down with his agent of the MLS star, and Uruguay international. Hasn't happened. Who else has there been? Rafinha, Pedro Neto, Zaha, Diaby, Yeremy Pino, Trossard now. Mudryk didn't work, but Mudryk. So there's been a whole bunch of players. Just have to get something done. Don't bring players in for the same reason, for no reason. But at the same time, we tried doesn't do much. And I would say against Newcastle, it would have been great to bring on Mudryk or an attacker. Against Spurs, while we was never in trouble, we didn't have another striker. Smith Rowe went on we did look a bit tired in the game in the second half, as you would. We could only bring on Smith Rowe to play as a false nine, which Arteta's spoken about. Pardon me, there was not El Nene was injured, so there wasn't quite that number 6 that you could bring on to tie up to tie things up, and we had to go for Fabio Vieira. I don't mind it, because when we take the lead, we have stronger options on the bench to see out games with Tini and Tomiyasu. If we're chasing a game, not that we've had to do that this many times this season, we're not really strong. We're making great strengths and great strides in relation to bringing in depth, but it's not quite there yet. So yeah, allegedly Spurs had a bid rejected for the Brighton international, thought to be about 12 million quid. Again, apparently, Rafinha doesn't want to leave, and Laporte, has slapped 100 million euros asking price on the Brazilian international Barcelona player. So for me, that's open and shut case. Unless something really happens and develops overnight, and we get a loan with certain conditions, or he's available at a cut price, you can forget that giving them back 55 million euros, let alone 100. So that tells you there's still faith in the Barca man. But we'll have to see in what's left of the season if they'll nip it in the bud. For me, if I was Barca, I'd give him until next season, if I'm honest. If it's not working out around September, October, that later on this year, probably between January of 2024 and the summer, look to nip it in the bud, because he's 26 really and truly. But yeah, people, he doesn't want to leave. He's only played 22 times for the football club. He's only joined 6 months ago. They're asking for 100 million euros. Pretty safe to assume we can all forget about that, right? So it is what it is in that regards. Lukaku for what? You're not seeing the wavy Arteta ball we're playing. What do we need Lukaku for? Anywho, apparently a few clubs have been linked with Victor Osimhen. And I mean, Man United need a striker long term. Arsenal maybe need a different profile of striker. And Newcastle can buy anyone they want, despite having is that they've been linked with Osimhen. 3 Premier League clubs, Arsenal, Manchester United, and Newcastle United, are interested in Napoli striker Victor Osimhen. As you know, him and KK did very well against Juventus. Apparently, where Osimhen's concerned, a man that Arsenal have been linked with since 17 years of age, he has now contributed 16 goals in 14 appearances in Serie A. Can he stay on side yet? Apparently, this article have provided some information about the striker's situation today, reporting that an auction is ready for Osimhen in the summer. United, Arsenal, and the Magpies, Newcastle, are all interested in taking him to the Premier League in the summer transfer window. It is stated that because of how much Mudryk cost Chelsea, there's a chance that Napoli will ask for 150 million euros from potential suitors in the summer, especially considering the striker's supreme performances in the current campaign. As of now, Osimhen is quite happy in Naples. Something his agent confirmed recently. His current deal expires in the summer of 2025, so he's got 2 years. So if he holds firm and doesn't sign a new deal, maybe in the summer, probably in the summers that follow, he'll be available. Napoli are expected to find it difficult to use a renewal to keep him at the club for a longer time. Osimhen has informed his entourage that he's focused on winning the Scudetto with Napoli, and he does not want to be distracted by any rumours surrounding his future. His goal is to win the Scudetto for Napoli, and he'll take care of the rest in the summer. Fair enough. We've seen this already. The word from the Emirates is that the numbers were getting crazy with Shakhtar for Mudryk. They weren't prepared to get involved in a bidding war. They only sign players if it makes sense financially and improves the squad. That is what David Ornstein said. Fabrizio Romano and Rafina said, I'm told he'd really love to stay at Barca as a priority. We'll see if it changes in the next week. So I have to see. Once again, we've been offered the chance to sign Trossard. Arsenal join race for 18-year-old Spanish defensive Salah. We've been linked with Ivan Fresnadar. He was pictured in London as well. People at a London hotel. Not sure that means anything. Chelsea could be in for him, such as everyone. But apparently Dortmund, Juventus, Newcastle all interested. His former club Real Madrid and Sevilla also. It now appears Arsenal have joined the race for Fresnadar. Mikel Arteta is keen on bringing in a long-term solution for the right-back spot, where Ben White is often used to cover the position. Fresnadar could be that option as well. As tends to be the case these days, it takes very little for major clubs to take a risk on a young player. Arsenal and Arteta have shown themselves capable of bringing through youngsters of late, but asking Fresnadar to jump immediately to the Premier League might not serve his development best. What will probably just serve his development best is staying for at least a season at Valladolid, maybe even next year. You're 18, you're playing week in, week out. There's not much pressure. I'm for it because if Cedric leaves, we're kind of light. I'm happy with Benjamin White's performances and ability at right back. I'm happy with Tomiyasu when he steps in, but there's a lot of games. There's a lot of games to play. Injuries, suspensions, fatigue happen. If you could bring someone in as a long-term replacement at 18 years of age, that probably closes the door to Brooke Norton-Coffey, but he's better than him, really. Apparently, his release clause is set at 10 million euros, but if he makes 9 more appearances, that will shoot up to 30 million euros. So could you activate it now? Say, let him stay to the end of the season. If that's what you want to do, save yourself a couple of quid. I'm not too sure where you lot be there with. I'm surprised nobody's been linked with Morocco's or none. He's been linked with Leicester today and primarily. If Arsenal sign a new winger, what about playing Martinelli up front instead of signing a new striker? It's something that could be happening. Arsenal dodged the bullet by not signing Mudryk, coming from a United fan. Big up the hard-working DJ as always. Appreciate you lot on Twitch and on YouTube. There'd be no point working hard if you lot weren't supporting the team. So yeah, appreciative for all of you lot tuned in. If you haven't smashed the like button, smash the like button. We've got 51 likes on YouTube and there's over 200 of you. No one's going to get in a bidding war with Chelsea. Berhe has sacked off FFP now that Roman writ off their debt. To be fair, you look at the Mudryk deal, they're paying 10 million euros a year. So that's how they've got around FFP. No way they sell the Napoli winger. It doesn't make sense. But if you put down the cash, anything can happen. But for the seventh time, it's not going to happen for me. We're not getting the Napoli done. In the summer, you could dream. Right now, you're not. It makes no sense. As you said, they're going for a Scudetto. It makes sense to keep their key players. They're going to have to find replacements. They've got an appreciating asset that is getting better every week that he plays. So it's a talking point and nothing more. And I just think the articles are putting two and two together and making 5. Of course, Arsenal and every top club are going to be looking at these guys and being alert, man. Matoma is the guy, not Trossard. We don't need to spam. Makoko is in his last 5 months. I'd look at him as well, man, up front, really. But it doesn't seem Arsenal are interested. But yeah, money can make anything happen in this world. What else have we got? Apparently, Xavi, who Barcelona have been linked with Ruben Neves, he doesn't fancy him. Xavi doesn't fancy Arsenal and Liverpool target Ruben Neves. According to Mondo Deportivo, Xavi is not particularly keen on signing Ruben Neves, a player Mikel Arteta's Arsenal and Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool are interested in. The Spanish publication has claimed that the Barcelona boss prefers the 23-year-old Spain international midfielder Martin Zubimendi from Sociedad. He's decent. To the recruitment of the 25-year-old Wolves and Portugal international midfielder Neves, described as a top player and sensational by Gary Neville. The report has added that although there are some in the Barcelona boardroom who would like to bring Neves to the Camp Nou, Xavi personally prefers, the Sociedad man. And this will come as a boost for Arsenal and Liverpool in their quest to sign Neves, who earns 58 grand per week, allegedly. According to Sport, Arsenal are keen on the Portugal midfielder in the summer of 2023 and are ready to compete with Barcelona for his signature. The Mirrors claim that Liverpool are interested in Neves and want to sign him in January, people. So you're going to have to see what's being said in that regard. Sorry, folks, but I'm getting an alert on YouTube. What's this about? Smash the like button if you haven't done such already, folks. Obviously, if you're looking for more condensed and more concise videos, there's one that dropped earlier today. Check out the rest of the content, folks. Appreciate you lot. That was a tactical review with Mikel Arteta's North London derby. That's the transfer news I've kind of condensed for you guys. So yeah, take all of that in, people. And obviously this week we're definitely doing a watch along for Crystal Palace, Manchester United, and definitely Manchester United Spurs. It makes sense. And obviously Arsenal United is this Sunday. So we'll have to see where this happens with people. Newcastle have also been linked. Probably Wolves are not going to sell Ruben Neves now, probably in the summer. But we'll have to see how things develop, people. But for what it's worth, there's that. TalkSport have said Tottenham and Arsenal are ready to go head-to-head to sign Tossar, but Spurs have placed a bid. We haven't, so they're probably ahead, or we're not as keen as some might believe. Arsenal and Manchester United tracking Real Betis attacker Luis Enrique. The 22-year-old has allegedly been a key player for his La Liga club during this campaign. He's played 22 times across all comps, has 5 assists and 3 goals to his name, people. So if both clubs are looking for wide men, or specifically my club, then players of all different profiles are going to be of interest. But monitoring a player is very different from seeing him bidding for people. You know, at 22 years of age, it might not be the right time to buy him. But according to ABC Sevilla, both Arsenal and Man United have been monitoring the attackers' performances during 2022-23 campaign. I mean, with Marcus Rashford playing off the left, with Sancho, with Anthony, with Diallo doing all right. I mean, Man United could do it all, but surely they're going for a striker and centre mid and maybe even a couple of centre halves before another winger. Arsenal, we need one. So I'm not too sure of this, guys. I couldn't tell you anything. But apparently the report claims that the 2 Premier League clubs have sent scouts to watch Enrique in action this season, but a move during the January transfer window is seen as highly unlikely. But young Brazilian lad, you know, if someone's got the profile on him at Arsenal, go and watch him, innit? It makes sense, but it's not going to happen. We've been linked with Yunus Musa, as has Chelsea and I think Inter Milan. Fabrizio Romano said, on to other possible targets. A summer move is very much possible for Yunus Musa. Smash the like button, people. Shout out to the Twitch ones. Inter, Chelsea and Arsenal are following him closely, but then it's still January, so let's see if some other clubs will join the race in the next months. His price was around 40 million euros in December. But let's see in the summer, too early to say now. So we'll have to see how that develops. Allegedly, where Declan Rice is concerned, people allegedly to have been said, and there was some previous other comments that I might attempt to find with Ben Jacobs. But Arsenal made contact over signing West Ham midfielder Declan Rice, according to journalist Rudy Galletti. We'll have to see, people, really and truly. He's been linked with a move away. According to Ben Jacobs, writing in his offside column, he recently claimed that Arsenal could join the likes of Chelsea and Man United in the race to sign him. Whoever convinces the 23-year-old to join them will have to pay a lot of money for his signature. I think he's contracted until 2024 with the option of another year. This is probably his last season. West Ham are going to have to let him go, especially where they're having the season they're having. Apparently, they will demand at least 100 million. Crazy. Ben Jacobs said, yes, when asked if we've made contact, yes, just to collect preliminary information. It's true that Arsenal have him in their sights. Declan Rice, unless there's a sensational twist, will leave West Ham in the summer. Yes, first contact has already happened. That doesn't mean anything. You can just talking to an agent, seeing, you know, indirectly or middlemen, what is his willingness to join Arsenal or any other club? What would he want in terms of wages and things like that? You know, indirectly, what would West Ham want? It's another big player that Arsenal would just have to agree something with his current employers. Is this it? I think this might be the article. West Ham are resigned to losing Declan Rice. They were very bullish last summer, telling suitors that it was a 100 million plus deal. Now I think that West Ham will sell Rice at a fraction of that. And suitors such as Chelsea and Man United, I'd consider Chelsea the front runner, see an opportunity to move for something around the 70 to 75 million mark. I like Declan Rice. He's good technically. He's got good mentality. He's the long-term heir to Partey. But for me, for 70 to 75 million, it's not a criticism on Declan Rice, but because of his skill set and being a number 6, could it not that I've got a bunch of targets? I wouldn't mind Manu Kone, the French lad. Couldn't you shop around Europe or shop for a bit cheaper just on the skill set and spend a bit more? My personal bias, I'd rather spend them when you start getting to 100 million. I'd rather spend them on match winners. Now, obviously, if Declan Rice makes a crazy tackle or sets up a goal, he's a match winner. But I'd personally, my own bias, speaking for myself, I'd rather do that, generally speaking, on wingers, on strikers, on 10s, on guys that get you out your seat, which respectfully, Declan Rice is a piano pusher. You know, you can't underestimate what he brings to the table. He's a key player at West Ham, as he is for England. But England, you've got Bellingham next to you. You've got Saka there. You've got Rashford about. You've got, you know, Harry Kane. You've got other talented players that are going to make the difference. End of the day, there's many years in the 23-year-old's tank. It makes sense. Speaking at the World Cup, Rice said he's envious of his teammates playing in the Champions League. He won't be moving in January, so he can assess the situation by the summer and see who's playing in the Champions League. Chelsea are putting a little more leg work on this deal, and I think he goes there because he's enticed by their rebuild and the fact that I didn't make it there and I can make it there. But he said it's going to be quite an open race, and Arsenal might well enter it a bit later. If they win the league or at least qualify for the Champions League, they could be in a strong situation. Sources have said on multiple occasions that Rice would like to stay in London, which opens the door to both Arsenal and Chelsea, perhaps more so than Man United. But if Ten Hag keeps working his magic, and it's Man United, you're always going to listen because of historically what they've done. Man United, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, they've all got things that they could sell to this guy. Another issue with United is until the ownership situation changes, we don't know what kind of budget they're working with. So we'll have to see in that. But I do think there was some other Declan Rice. There was definitely some other comments in relation to Declan Rice. There definitely was a few thingies ago. Because we definitely covered this. Sorry, people. I'm just on another tab. I want to attempt to find this. We definitely saw a bit more of this. Is that it? Let's see what these things are saying. Sorry, folks. I'm still here. Is this it? Is this it? That doesn't appear to be it. So there's nothing advanced on the Arsenal end, but they don't really need to be worrying about entering the race just now because it's only going to take place during the summer. So I think it's one to watch after the window shuts. There's definitely some substance in the links, but we have to be very clear that Manchester United and Chelsea are further along at the moment. That was said a week ago, but I'm sure we covered these comments before, people, in relation to him as well, people. Apparently, yeah, Ben Jacobs said, I do think we should bear in mind, I'm looking at it on another screen, people. I do think we should bear in mind from an Arsenal point of view that they are considering their midfield situation and ensuring that they're strong enough in that area too. First of all, to get through this season and then to strengthen in the summer. So it's not impossible that they go for Declan Rice and they'll be in a really strong position if they were to win the league. And then he went on to say, oh, I need to find them comments, man, because we definitely, where's my history tab? It's bugging me, people, because I feel like I'm letting you lot down. Where's my history tab? Let me type in Rice all the way back. This is the 5th of Jan. I mean, there's that. So is there any real credibility in these rumors? Where is this tab? Tab police, look away now, man. Don't really look like there's much in that regards. But yeah, Declan Rice, we've been previously linked with him several times, man. Let's peeing me off. I can't lie, people, man. You know, when you've just got, when something just is, when you just want to get something done, it's just, it's peeing me off. What's this? I don't believe the Declan Rice thing for what it's worth, but we can see Arsenal are leading the race to sign Declan Rice in the summer. Chelsea still in for him, but potential lack of Champions League and some history between them means Arsenal are the favourites. I mean, AFC Camden, all these dons, they all, you know, all of these Marble Halls, Ben Jacobs, it's all, not criticising no one, but it's all essentially guesswork in it. Until people are holding shirts, who knows really? It just seems to be leveraging the fact that we're potentially in the Champions League. We'll just have to go back through one of my videos, people, because we definitely spoke about him. But yeah, that's Declan Rice. I can't find it. Once again, we're looking at Rafinha, allegedly, for what it's worth, in relation to Arsenal's strategy, which may frustrate some Arsenal fans or not, depending on who you are. 4:30, we're playing Football Manager, by the way, people. Romano said, I can understand the disappointment today, which is in relation to when it emerged that we're not getting Mudryk, because Mudryk is a player that Arsenal always wanted in the final days of the August transfer window of the summer. Arsenal had some conversation in August, but never made an official bid to Shakhtar Donetsk. Arsenal had some conversations with agents, but they never made an official bid. But then October, November, and December, Arsenal been working on this Mudryk deal. So maybe we could have just moved at a bit more pace before he kept doing the business on the pitch and ultimately Chelsea got involved. I can tell you one thing, if Arsenal are top of the league, if Arsenal are living a fantastic moment in their history with a team doing incredible, with many young talents, with many players super excited to play for Arsenal, with a fantastic coach like Mikel Arteta, it's because they have a vision. What Arsenal did today when they knew about Chelsea travelling to meet with Shakhtar to pay and reach an agreement and to try and convince Mudryk. Arsenal were not in a panic. Arsenal have changed their approach to the transfer market. Arsenal are not overreacting. Arsenal are not overpaying. Arsenal are very clear. They do what they think is what they have to do, so they do their best. They offered on Thursday afternoon 70 million euros plus 25 million in add-ons for Mudryk. It's a lot of money. It's a very big proposal. Then Shakhtar decided to wait for Chelsea to get more money. For Arsenal, it's not the question of overpaying or overreacting. They have a vision, they have a strategy, and so they decided to say, this is our best. If the player wants to come and Shakhtar wants to accept the offer, we're happy. Otherwise, we are going to do something else. Arsenal have a different approach, but this was the case 1 year ago with Vlahovic. Arsenal didn't want to enter into a fight. Same with Locatelli, Martinez, and with Rafinha last summer when he decided to go Barcelona and not accept Chelsea or Arsenal. I would say Lisandro Martinez is a bit different because he's actually looking, Locatelli's hardly done much at Juventus, Vlahovic the same, Rafinha's not doing well at Barca. Lisandro Martinez is actually going great. And with Lisandro, he weren't moving iffy. He was on joining Arsenal. Like you've all seen, United fans would know. He called Ten Hag. He said, if United were also in the frame, he said, if you don't want me, I'll air Arsenal. If you don't, then I'm going Arsenal. Vlahovic will never quite know the truth. Rafinha will never. Well, we saw in the Athletic where we were third behind Chelsea and Barcelona. Locatelli, we were probably taking around the houses really with Juventus. It seemed like we were prepared to pay Swallow a lot more, and they wanted him to go there, but he wanted to go Juventus really. So I do think Lisandro's a bit different, but for better or worse, it is what it is. Arsenal are like this. They'll only go for players that are convinced about their project and only for the right price. They don't want to go for crazy things. This is Arsenal's mentality. Some can appreciate it, but I'm sure there's Arsenal fans appreciating this strategy because, again, if Arsenal are top of the league today, hopefully in May, it's because of this strategy. There are Arsenal fans, of course, that are disappointed because I can understand the excitement when you sign a top player like Mudryk. So it's normal to be disappointed. But I think the reality we have to say is that Edu, the board and owners and Arteta have always been very clear. They do things when they feel it's the right thing and not overpaying people. So we'll have to see. Chelsea have agreed to play in a friendly against Shakhtar Donetsk when they can in Ukraine. And also some of that transfer fee has been dedicated towards, obviously, what's going on in Ukraine. Yunus Musa, once again, apparently Chelsea, Inter Milan and Arsenal are tracking him, but they're going to have to wait to the summer to make a bid for him. Arsenal could not guarantee 100 million euros for Mudryk, but this was always Shakhtar's position. Shakhtar made it clear to Mudryk that this was their position, so they told him that if he doesn't accept the move to Chelsea, he will not be able to move people. So it is what it is in that regards. Let's see what Goal.com are saying about Arsenal. Oh, yeah, 71 million bid for Vlahovic. Come on. Arsenal ready to bid 71 million pounds for Vlahovic after what him and his agents did to us last year. Makes sense. According to an Italian publication, I'm very pessimistic on anything that links us with players out of Italy because we get taken around the houses. I would love to have Vlahovic, Milinkovic-Savic, the Napoli lot done, Rafa Leao today as well, Benassia, Locatelli, all of these guys. We've been here before, innit? So it is what it is. The dream is free. The Arsenal was sold separately. Arsenal are now ready to launch a formal bid for long-standing striker target Vlahovic after missing out on Mudryk. Mudryk is finally, well, forget all of that. But yeah, we know we've got history of Vlahovic, and it's not really working out for him at Juventus, so that's where that comes from. We've spoken about the Real Valladolid man. Apparently, Rafinha has a price tag of 100 million euros. Shah Arthur Okonkwo, he has joined Stuttgart in the Austrian Bundesliga division on loan. Hopefully, he builds on his experience that he's done at Crewe. And I think that's Miguel Aziz, Arthur Okonkwo, Brook Norton Coffey. They've all swapped clubs with Stuttgart, Wigan, and Coventry, respectively. Surely Marcelo Flores does as well, people. I mean, this ain't anything new. It's just centered around that. So yeah, it really is what it is. Milinkovic Savic has made his mind up. No renewal with Lazio. His contract expires in June 2024. But Juventus are already thinking about the Serbian Serbian midfielder for the summer. So again, all of these guys would love half of the names we're linked to, but the dream is free. The Arsenal is sold separately, and we're taking around the houses at this point. Until players are signed, it is what it is. We were led to believe we was getting that Danilo done. He's gone to Nottingham Forest. Telemans has gone away. Douglas Luiz killed his chances with a renewal. Obviously, Mudryk, it seemed like it was going to happen, but until things are signed on the dotted line, and even then in football, we've seen some cases where that's even an L in itself. So you can't really do anything in that regards, people. So we'll have to see how these things develop. For what it's worth, where is Saliba's one? Saliba's bigged up the atmosphere at the Tottenham game and spoken about wanting to win and stuff. I want to see exactly what he said about transfer, about his contract.